Welcome back to Difficult Childhood, the podcast where we talk about growing up as Jehovah's Witnesses and then leaving the organization as adults and finding a better life on the outside. Well, today, as promised, but a few days late, we're going to be talking about the bank robber, the Jehovah's Witness bank robber, who was pretty active from 1998 to 1999. And this was so long ago, but also we're going to go into why I believe firmly, and we'll see if you agree, that this is still relevant information for Jehovah's Witnesses today and for everyone to know what is possible within this organization and how it is possible and how the organization kind of hides people like this or gives them a place to hide. And we'll go into that. My co-host is going to be a different Robert altogether. And this Robert is not only my boyfriend, but also has had a completely different background from me. And I haven't shared the details of this bank robber story with Rob, but we're going to kind of do it fresh right here and get his reaction. He's not in the room right now as I record this. Just to give you an idea of his background, how different it is, he is a photographer, a video editor, a cinematographer. He's worked on music videos. He was also a professional dancer and a choreographer. And in fact, you could have seen him on Dancing with the Stars on ABC. So he's very successful in the entertainment industry, but he also had a studio in LA called Playback Studios, where he would host top-level musicians and got to work for and with people like Pink and Michael Jackson. The point in sharing all this, which I swear are not exaggerations, is that he has had a completely different life from me. And so I think his perspective will be interesting. So we're going to get started here. I'm going to set up a couple more little things and details, and we'll bring Robert in. All right, let's go. That ice bath was amazing.
Isn't it? It wakes you up, doesn't it? I'm like getting addicted to it. I love it.
It was incredible. I loved it. I smashed my face in it for like 20 seconds at a time. And then like I did literally 3 times, like a full minute I spent in there. I was like, wow. I'm like, my face was red and like stressed.
Kind of hurts a little bit. When
Uh-huh.
but then after you're like, oh, like the bags under my eyes
amazing.
are gone. It's like, yeah.
It's my new favorite thing. Okay, so as you know, this is my boyfriend, Robert.
Hi.
And he's here to kind of react to this story of the other Robert Henry, no relation, right?
No, I hope not.
And the other Robert Henry, was a convicted bank robber and also an active Jehovah's Witness. And also he attended my Kingdom Hall, the same Kingdom Hall I attended at the same time.
Wow.
So he was kind of an interesting guy. And what he did in 1998, he married a woman in the congregation whose name I won't say because obviously she wasn't involved in all this, but we'll get into that also. And inserted himself into the congregation, married her. She was a single mother, very pretty woman, very nice person, really close friend of my sister's, just a nice person all around. And he got into this position of being, of trust, being trusted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you do in an organization like that,
Right. And that was kind of the thing we were thinking about, is that this is why, even though this happened in 1998, this is relevant now for current Jehovah's Witnesses. And we'll get into that more as well. Like why that's still a valid thing to be concerned about, like right now. And if you're a Jehovah's Witness, or if you are studying with Jehovah's Witnesses, this is a story you want to hear.
So, okay, let's do it.
All right. So I'm going to share all this, like I said, with Robert, and he's never been one of Jehovah's Witnesses, as I said. So this should be an interesting feedback here. He might have some questions. I want to preface this with the fact that all Jehovah's Witnesses, to a certain extent, lead a double life. And I mean that because if you are like in the videos and in the publications, you're all just these happy, really cheery Jehovah's Witnesses, the sunny disposition, and everything's great. And you're living they literally call it the best life ever. That's literally their expression. And they have a song about it. But the problem is that every one of Jehovah's Witnesses is a human. And then if you lust after someone or tell a lie, or did something hinky in business, you feel bad about it, you feel guilty, and you have to push those guilty feelings down. If you're a teenager, you have any urges, all that stuff you feel guilty about, and then you wonder if you're really going to make it through Armageddon into the new system, like the perfect new paradise earth. Because Jehovah's Witnesses they don't think everybody's going to heaven. They think most people are going to this paradise earth.
Yeah. And I guess my question would be like, is it like Catholicism where you would talk to a priest or something like that, or your rabbi or whatnot, and confess your sins and maybe you can be forgiven for it? Is there a process for that? Or is it just like you just have to live a perfect life now and then you get to live another perfect life later?
Basically, you have to do that, but you can confess to the elders, but then you'll be punished probably one of two different ways. You can be publicly reproved. That's the primary one, where that means from the platform. And this has happened to me. They said Jason Hansen has been reproved, and I was
Uh-oh,
like,
public spankings.
bro, you basically,
You know.
it's just a kind of the shame bell. And then there's disfellowship, which is excommunicated, and then you could lose your family and everything. So a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses are running around having committed sins that could get them in this level, but they're afraid to confess them because they're afraid of the consequences.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
So I guess my argument with saying this, before we get into the story here, which we'll dive right in. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to delay this too much, but the argument is that if you are stressed and exhausted and in desperate need of money, or you're struggling really, really seriously, and you have a new family and everything, but you've already committed some sins, you might think, "Oh, I'm not going to the new paradise." And so it gives you this uh carte blanche of like, "Oh, I can do whatever I want because it doesn't matter. I'm going to die in Armageddon anyway. So who cares if I rob a bank?" I mean, admittedly, that's a stretch. That's a crazy weird experience, but I don't know if that's where that Robert Henry ended up.
Yes. To me, it sounds like Robert Henry probably had a strategy before he even got to the church. That's what it feels like to me. Somebody who's
Yeah.
really, really good at thieving or anything kind of criminal. You either have to come from a criminal past or have parents who are really good at it.
Right.
And then, of course, the best way is to scope your life or construct your life around something that is a double life so nobody would ever suspect you.
Yeah. And so then you're saying, like, and I agree with you here. You're saying that maybe he was seeking out an organization like this to borrow credibility.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
For sure.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Makes sense. A little bug landed on you there.
Love it.
We've got bugs here lately. I don't know what the deal is. So Robert Henry was he was active in the congregation. I remember meeting him and our and then interacting with him a lot because I was a ministerial servant in the congregation at the same time, which is kind of like a deacon, kind of like higher up, but not an elder. I was only 18 years old, but I was, starting to progress in that stuff. He lived near East, and forgive me, I'm just looking at my notes here because I don't want to miss anything because there's a lot of interesting details to this. He lived in Tucson, Arizona, near East Broadway and Prudence Road. And the reason I'm telling you this is that his first few bank jobs, he actually went and uh, did them within a couple miles of his house.
That's bonkers.
That is interesting to me.
That is very interesting to
His
me.
confidence level.
Well, not only that, this is something also about law enforcement in the area too, as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, let's be honest. I don't want to get super political here, but they're not often looking for. And I'll put an image up here. This is a dude that can, he's not going to get racially profiled. He's not like he's 6'2". He has some authority, of course. You can see in the image there, he's a handsome dude, but not crazy movie star handsome where everyone's gonna go, it's that guy over
well,
there.
no, and of course, if you're like, what a great way to. He has a life where he can hide behind too, as well. So of course,
Right.
they're not looking for him. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like he's under the radar.
Right. It's a really good way to go. Not a bunch of tattoos, not some defining characteristic, missing this or that. He kind of just blends. And so all he did when he was doing his robberies was wear a baseball cap and sunglasses and some rubber gloves so that he wouldn't leave fingerprints.
And what age was he when the bank robbing started, or when he actually joined the Jehovah Witnesses? Was it? And did he have a criminal past before? I mean, did he had to? I mean, was he
We
just
don't know.
crystal clean, or
I did it was a behind paywalls. I actually paid for news archives to find this, and I'll show these news clippings as we go along here. But he was 24 years old when he started this. So to me, I was 18. I'm like, well, that's a grown man. But now I'm 45. I'm like, wow, what a kid.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like you can't be that skillful at robbing banks and just overnight.
Well, arguably, he wasn't that skillful at it because he was doing it so close to his house. But I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, point taken. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, let's see here. I want to grab my notes here. So, for example, here's how he did it. He walked into the Wells Fargo on Broadway in Tucson. I think it was on Broadway and Wilmot at the time. Just for details, if you don't know that, I just want to make sure you guys know this is not just made up stuff here. He walked in there with the baseball cap, dark glasses, and he had a semi-automatic handgun tucked right here, and he just showed it to the teller and said, "Give me all your money." He got away with an undisclosed amount of money from that Wells Fargo, and that wasn't his first one, but that was kind of his process. He just walked in,
And then just drove 2 blocks over and went home.
parked it. Well, that's the thing. He didn't. He switched vehicles. He had a purple Ford Taurus that he used for at least one bank job that was registered to somebody else, but then he also put a fake registration in the back window. So that was his kind of his getaway. He was like, I look like a lot of people.
See, that shows me right there that this person thinks through and is detail oriented about his craft. So him even constructing his life to the point of bank robbers seems like he kind of had a
He was
clue.
doing something before
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
exactly.
This is not
He
his
had a
first
plan.
Yeah.
He's not a dumb criminal.
According to the newspapers, this was his first conviction, but it was not his. That makes sense. I don't think it would have been his first thing. So he got a little bit sharper here. Let me look at the notes here. He did 4 robberies in Tucson. He did 9 in Phoenix. And let me go ahead and pull up this here. One moment, please.
Curious of the total sum of money that he actually got away with, or they recovered, but I'm sure they probably won't even.
Right.
Yeah.
They didn't disclose that in the news articles, and I wanted to look for like maybe video from the local news stations because I remember driving. I remember where I was driving when I heard this on the radio, and they were like, "How? What? Just talking about." I'll talk about his capture in a little bit, but I went and tried to find like YouTube articles or YouTube videos on it. But this was before, obviously, YouTube. This is 1998, 1999, and it was back when the tapes at local, stations weren't really shared with the public.
Yeah.
Other than broadcasting it that night, if somebody had a VHS and then later on put it up on, nobody would do that. So that's why there's no video of this.
Yeah.
But you can see in this image here, it's a little obscured there, but you can see on that image that it's kind of a newspaper image, but there was a clearer image of him robbing that Wells Fargo bank I was just talking about. And that's what they caught him on. It says here, this is the FBI agent that was involved with the Arizona office. He said, Henry is accused of being one of 11 serial bank robbers responsible for 47 of Tucson area's 60 robberies last year. His arrest means that 87% of last year's cases have been solved.
Whoa.
Now, that is just in the Tucson area. He also expanded to Phoenix and then ultimately to San Diego.
See, he had a plan. He scaled up.
He scaled up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At 25, 26 years old. That's impressive.
It is actually, I mean, it's hard to be mad at that kind of talent.
Yeah.
Wait, it's important to be mad at that kind of talent. He has inserted himself into the congregation. He is his wife is one of my sister's best friends. He's socializing with us, and then he's telling his wife. He used to work at when he first moved in. He said he worked at Enterprise Rent-A-Car, and it seems like that matched up. But then he got this sales job, as an out-of-town sales job, which should have raised some red flags.
Car rental dudes are always spooky.
Yeah, every time those Alamo guys.
It's just like, what are they typing back there? What are you doing?
What are they typing?
I just want
so
the
much
car.
typing. He moves on to this sales job, and then he's just going around traveling around a whole bunch. Yeah. He started getting smarter. He started branching out, doing larger stuff, going to Phoenix, and this is what I suspect got him caught. Because his plan was pretty good. He was doing random locations. As you can see from the image, he's not a very, no shame, but not a very unique looking guy. It's a dude who isn't ugly, isn't, like I said, Hollywood handsome, but okay, I don't remember. He was a white guy. Vague. That's a trillion guys out there.
Exactly.
So I think this is where he messed up. he bought his wife, and I'll show that image of what he bought her. This was, I remember everything that's cars, and this was a 1999 Chrysler Cirrus in this seafoam green color, and it was shiny and brand new. And she told us that he paid for it with cash. This was after everything occurred.
She just
He bought it with cash.
Oh yeah, wow.
They pay his commissions in cash when on the sales job.
Wow.
So, but what's lacking there is that you got to think about the fact that a $19,000 car at the time, which doesn't sound like much, obviously, but it's well over the $10,000 reportable amount.
Exactly.
Which, I mean, that's like 36 grand now. I looked at it now; it's not really relevant. But if you walk in and drop $36,000 on a counter in a sales, a dealer in cash, that's gonna raise an eyebrow. Like, why aren't you just paying for this with a money order from your bank?
Well, on top of it, if you came home and bought me a car and said I just paid it with cash for $35,000, I'd be like,
You'd have some questions, right?
wouldn't you? I mean, I
I
would
would.
have. I would be like, oh, that's awesome, but
Where'd you get all that
where'd you get
cash?
the money,
Yeah,
huh? Yeah, what'd you do?
not that
What'd
good.
you do?
What did you do? So here's what happens when you use in the US. And this is something that he wouldn't have been able to Google at the time to become aware of, but it's called the Bank Secrecy Act reporting. And when somebody makes a cash deposit, withdrawal, purchase, or payment of $10,000 or more, like at a bank, a dealership, a jewelry place, anything like that, that business must create a currency transaction report, and that goes to the IRS,
Yep.
criminal investigation department, as well as the FBI and other areas of government. And then they take all that data and they have these analysts who match that up with what's happening where.
Yeah.
So this guy lives on Broadway and then he went down to the Chrysler dealer and spent this amount of money. What's happening on Broadway?
And I'm pretty sure the FBI probably at that point said, well, maybe it could be somebody in the circumference of an area.
Right.
Let's just wait and see if they do something dumb, like spend a whole bunch of money. And that's why they laundry money. So you
Right.
don't get caught spending large sums of cash like that.
Right.
So you was stupid about that.
And we don't know from the news reports, because the news reports on this don't say anything about that being what got him caught. But that does seem like a thing that at least contributed to it.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. They were probably waiting for it.
Yeah. I know we were watching this the other day. It was maybe a couple months ago. I don't know if you guys have seen this. A show called Ozark, and Jason Bateman's the main character, and he has several big bags of money, and someone steals one of his bags of money. Just some regular person who's not in their organized crime or anything steals this bag of money, and he goes after him to try to recoup it. And he says, "You guys think you're going to buy a new truck with this? You think you're going to buy a house?
Nope.
You have free groceries for life. Best case scenario if you hide this properly.
Yep.
You buy anything over 10 grand, you got to do it with a Bateman voice. Buddy, you buy anything over 10 grand?
Buddy.
Yeah, yours is better.
Yeah, buddy. Yep.
Buddy,
And you can't travel with it, and you know what I mean? So unless you got a private plane, you're not going to go anywhere with all that cash. So
Nope. So he has all this cash. He had a bunch of cash hidden in his walls, and they did find that but here's what
And
happened.
so he's just doing remodels around the house, and she's just like, "What you doing, honey? I'm just putting things in the walls." Okay,
We
what
don't
kind of woman
know.
is this?
This is interesting because I won't say her name here, but she was a really lovely person, very pretty. She had just very runway look to her, very beautiful woman.
Okay,
And she had a small child and she was working, so she's very busy with small child and working. And I remember her mother was helping take care of the small boy. This is what the investigating officer said, is Deming from the Tucson police. He said, I am absolutely fully convinced that she, the wife, was not involved in or in any way aware of the husband's suspected robberies. She's a real victim in this. Her whole world has been is just topsy turvy. I love the way this guy talks. He also says that the suspect was quite the rascal. I don't know what decade this is,
the
but
rascal.
he's so funny.
It's the 20s.
Yeah. See?
He's a rascal.
Oh, topsy-turvy.
We got him now.
His pants are probably like hiked up to
Yeah,
here.
the suspenders.
Yeah. He puts Pepto Bismol in his coffee.
Mhm.
But so this investigator said that she was completely unaware. He was convinced. And you know what? If you knew her, you would be too. She would have just been so, there's a certain also a level of anxiety when you're dealing with being one of Jehovah's Witnesses, having a small child, newly married, husbands everywhere. And also she was, from my experience from seeing her and meeting her and knowing her very well, a very anxious person. So I think that takes a lot of
Oh, I'm sure. I'm
processing
sure he
speed
picked
up.
the perfect woman to have a double life with. However, I always think too, like if you have a partner and they're traveling a lot and they're not really explaining a lot, and
Mm.
things are popping up around the house that are pricey and you're not asking questions. I'm not quite sure if that's the culture of Jehovah Witnesses women. Like, are they that submissive?
Oh, that's interesting.
But like to me, every woman in a case like this, a fraud or embezzlement or something like that, is always the victim because they didn't know anything. But you always have you always must
Yeah.
have like a
An
gut feeling.
inkling.
If you're not asking a lot of questions, nobody's giving you a lot of answers of what's going on. You kind of have to be like, hmm. But maybe because of the religion, she's like, I'm always in good faith that he's doing something nice,
Yeah.
and that's why you find a woman like that.
Yeah, that could be, and that's why you're attracted to that kind of organization. I think you're right. You're onto something there because even though women, it varied depending on the relationship. Women were generally not to be, really, questioning their husband intensely about, like, hey, listen, he's bringing home the money. You be grateful.
Was she a working mom?
That was what, I remembered she was, and then I read one of these news articles and it said she was. She was
Okay.
working at the time and had the little boy, and her mother was oops, I'll delete that. Her mother was taking care of, the little boy when she was working, during her work
The
hours.
whole story changes if it was a large kid and not a small kid.
Yeah, it kinda does does because then the teenage boy would be like, "What is
Yeah,
going on
she was
here?"
taking care of a large kid and
Small kid, a big one,
really
little one.
large kid.
I think he was like 3 at the time. He was yeah, he's a
Oh,
little guy. But, after he bought that, I think that's when he bought that car for her for cash. I think then he probably bought other things like that.
oh, I'm
He
sure.
started showing up on their radar, and then, he says, then he hit a, bank in San Diego, and it seems like they knew he was coming because, he had made some travel arrangements to San Diego,
Yeah.
and within a few blocks of leaving that bank, according to the Arizona Daily Star, he was, arrested.
It means that most likely the FBI was probably tracking his transactions the
Mhm.
entire time,
Right.
waiting who's spending what money, who's buying tickets to where, trying to coordinate. If he's traveling
Mhm.
to Phoenix and stuff like that, all you gotta do is look at people's travel records and stuff like that and see
Right.
who's leaving or what certain times. They probably were waiting for him in San Diego,
Right.
or he had a rat.
Or that.
We
And
hate rats.
no, and I think I suspect that maybe he was the one that was reporting on after he was captured his 10 other
You
team
think he might
members.
have been an informant
Yeah, I
himself?
think he
Maybe
might have been an
we'll give you
informant.
a because then he didn't get a lot of years, so maybe he was an informant because he was
Right.
working with a cell or a gang of people, and
Right.
yeah,
So he starts in Tucson, does a few jobs, branches out, gets more people, goes to Phoenix. Just in the Tucson area, we got 47 robberies that he's accused of, him and his team. And then they go to Phoenix. We have an undisclosed number of robberies there. And then it suggests in the newspaper that there was just one in San Diego, that they were just branching out to San Diego when he got caught. And then I remember that morning, hearing that on the radio and also talking to my sister that there was just FBI just busting into their house
wow.
and taking everything apart, and they found a large sum of money in the house and that she was unaware apparently
She's like,
of.
"Oh my god,
I had
I
all that right here.
I thought he was just
I went to the ATM this morning for 20
he
bucks.
was punching walls. I just thought it was just.
I thought we were doing the bathroom.
Oh dear.
This is a terrible impression of her, by the way.
Yeah, I
we're
know.
both doing a bad
Yeah.
impression. This is not what she sounds like. But then he gets caught. But what happened is that so because this is like it's like from the newspapers. And I think you're right. I think he was doing more before this, but from what he was being suspected of, it was an 11-month bank robbery spree.
Yeah.
That it had a minimum of 48 bank robberies in it, or 49, excuse me.
I love to learn the whole scope of it and see how much of a team and other people who got arrested in it. But it
What they
sounds,
served and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. But it sounds like maybe he was probably already an informant or he was already wired, which allowed him to get out of prison early and write a book. You know what I mean? So I'm,
well, that just takes us to it. You're right. And he went to court. he got convicted, and it does not say if he how he pleaded guilty, but he only pleaded guilty to 11 excuse me 10 robberies.
Wow.
So 10 robberies. That guy's getting you. Wait, wait.
I tell you what, if dude looked like me, I would have been shot dead out of that.
It's
There would
true.
have been no 7 years in the book after, hands down. I'd
No,
have been dead.
no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And he also, I think the first robbery you would have been
Oh
chased
my
down.
god.
Like
Yeah.
this was what they said was this could be a 70 to 120-year sentence,
Yeah.
and he got 7 years,
Yeah.
72
Yeah.
months.
I'd have got 250 years.
Yeah, yeah, right,
Already been shot in the chest and then crippled and be like, you get 250 years, buddy.
100%.
Ah.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Appreciate that. And so he got that, and then he wrote a book. I'm not going to promote it here. You guys can look for it if you want, but he because I don't know to what extent he is genuine. I don't know, and this is a lot of this is opinion here, but we're sharing what the newspaper said. And after this, he claimed in his book, which I read the first chapter of it that was available on Amazon. Robert Henry claimed that he was grateful for the 7 years that he got because they weren't his entire life, and it gave him time to think and to I guess become a better person or something.
Yeah, of course it
And
does.
he got into real estate, and then he also got into
How do you get
promotional
into real
speaking.
estate?
I don't know how you get your real estate license.
That's
I don't know how anybody gets one.
nuts to me.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah, that is nuts to me. I mean, I guess criminal reform works for some people, but it looks like to me he had a better deal than what most criminals in a situation like this have, which makes it suspicious to me that he was probably an informant or
Yeah,
whatnot.
he probably sold some. There's probably
Yeah.
other people from that group that are still in
Like, how do
prison
you even
now.
get to make proceeds from your book if you have stolen thousands of dollars from banks and then you're able to get a?
Do you have to do restitution?
I don't
I
get
don't
it.
know.
Like, I don't understand the process
I
for
don't
that.
understand that either. I don't know the process either, and the newspapers didn't tell, so I don't want to speculate. But a lot of people were very, uh, I don't know. We were all surprised in our congregations, like, "What? He just got he completely tricked us." Like we were all like, "Sure, this guy is a Jehovah's Witness. He's active. He's a nice dude." So
I mean,
we
as those are all the perceptions. Just because he's a Jehovah Witness, you guys already think he's a nice
he's
dude.
a good dude.
Exactly. So that's
And we went into this on our, and I don't want to say true crime because that's also just becoming a cliche, but we had another episode about how a young woman was, I think you have to say unalived on here, by someone else in her congregation here in Portland,
mm,
and this is like 15 years ago. But it is because this is the upshot here. The organization of Jehovah's Witnesses teaches its members directly, and we've shown the videos, and I'll show another clip here. They teach their members directly that if you are among Jehovah's Witnesses, you're among a safe people. And in fact, they even have a video on, I think it's like 5 years ago, and I'll show the clip of this man who's in prison, and he's just got all these tats and everything, and then he learns and starts studying the Bible. He gets out of prison, he becomes a Jehovah's Witness, and he oddly shaves. I guess that's how you can tell you're trustworthy, if you shave your beard.
oh yeah, of course.
And then he's in the congregation, and suddenly he's trustworthy, and the voiceover literally says so many people have gone from being violent to becoming trustworthy, but they never acknowledge that so many people are probably seeking out organizations like that because they want to commit illegal deeds. And there's unassuming people that walk to your front door and bing bong watchtower.
I guess my question to you would be like, after this happened, did you ever like, sit in a congregation and just kind of look around at everybody and be like, who else is living a double life? Like, not everybody in here can be telling the truth and being themselves. Didn't that kind of snap in your head like, whoa?
That's an interesting question. I didn't expect you to ask that. And I think the answer is no to my memory, because I was still
Really?
so indoctrinated that was to me Robert Henry suddenly being arrested for bank robberies was an anomaly, not something that should ever be expected. And as a result, since it shouldn't be expected, and because it gave God's organization or Jehovah a bad name, as they say, we didn't even talk about it happening after it happened.
Hmm.
You talk about with your close friends, like, can you imagine do you know how much time he got? But we didn't talk about it in the congregation. You wouldn't be, in the back of the Kingdom Hall after the service or the meeting was done, as they call it, and I'd be like running the literature counter, and hey, what happened to the guy that robbed all the
And it's like
banks?
nobody pulls you aside and be like, "Oh my god, did you
Nobody
hear about
talked
Robert?"
about it after that. It was like hush, 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 hush.
That's the problem.
It's weird. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So this is our concern. This is our argument here. I think that the organization of Jehovah's Witnesses, just like with the death of Whitney Heichel here in town, the Starbucks barista who
Mhm.
was by a member of the congregation, I think they create an image of safety that is completely false. And in fact, I think the members of the congregation are more likely to be dangerous than the general public because people who are dangerous are drawn toward it. Cub Scouts. Like, why do you
Exactly.
have so many CSA issues? The priesthood with Catholic Church. Why
Yeah.
do you have so many CSA issues there? They're seeking it out. It's an
Mormons, you know what
opportunity.
I mean? Oh, I can go off and create my own community and marry a whole bunch of people and
Yeah, the
just,
fundamentalist ones. Yeah,
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 and you
exactly.
know what I
Yeah,
mean? Have sex with everybody. And like, that's
yeah.
just, I would think any organized. I mean, we had the same situation in Alaska at Lily of the Valley, where we had a mayor named Mayor Hayes who was high up.
And Lily of the Valley, it's called.
Lily of the Valley was the
Oh,
church in Fairbanks, Alaska, that my uncle George built with him by his own hands. But the guy was embezzling money and all sorts of stuff, and then
yeah.
it was a huge deal. And we hung out with the Hayes all the time. We grew up with those guys. We thought they
Mhm.
were the most honest Christians you can have. Well, at least I didn't, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Like you couldn't get any better than that family, and now they're all in prison.
Oh, wow.
Mom, dad, son, all
All
of them
for
are
just
involved.
embezzling and
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
Oh my goodness.
but that's the guess. The greatest way for anybody to hide as a criminal is in a church.
I think that's maybe our takeaway is that the organization of Jehovah's Witnesses, they always teach that you're special as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and that the org is special and that it has God's Holy Spirit. Well, how would this have happened if it had God's Holy Spirit? Why was it not that the Holy Spirit motivated the elders to say, "What's up with Robert Henry over there?" Why did it require the FBI getting involved with practical means? And I think that's evidence that they're not special.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and I guess that's evidence of Jehovah Witnesses as a community. Like they need to start talking to their patrons somehow, develop some kind of system. They need to talk about mental health or something, and make people more transparent about what's going on in their life if they're expecting everybody to be good.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're putting a lot of people in danger.
Absolutely, and we've seen it. And this is just another case of that, like proof that it's not a special organization and they're putting people in danger. And it's I think it's evidenced by we did another episode about it was called how many predators are hiding within the organization of Jehovah's Witnesses. So this is regarding CSA. And we came up with, and based on the reports of the Australian Royal Commission and some other sources, we came up with the estimate that Jehovah's Witnesses have a CSA issue. And I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just we have to say that for YouTube. Jehovah's Witnesses have a CSA issue that is 8 times worse than the Catholic Church per capita.
Wow.
But you just have 900 million Catholics or whatever the number is. So you hear about it a lot more,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, it's crazy. Not only is it not special, it kind of is special in that it's worse
Yeah. Oh,
than
yeah.
Jehovah's
I'm
Witnesses.
not surprised either. I'm not surprised.
So you guys can look up those details yourself. I did some deep dives. I went to newspapers.com and subscribed to an account there. I'm not promoting them, but what we did, and that's just how I was able to get these old prints of these newspapers. Are kind of all behind paywalls, and yeah, it's a strange story and unfortunately, I mean, even though the bank robbery aspect of it is rare, the other crimes that are committed are not rare.
Uh,
And for some reason, the elders in the Church of Jehovah's Witnesses or Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses, they would treat bank robbery as a crime, but CSA they don't treat as a crime. They treat that as a sin to be dealt with within the congregation, and it is optional to report it to depending on local reporting laws.
Yeah, that sounds like the elders got stuff to hide there.
It really
It
does.
seems like the elders need to be audited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would it be great if all religions had to And all charities had to be audited to make sure they were spending their
Hands
money on
down,
stuff
if
like
you're
that.
not paying taxes,
You should be audited
you should
every
be
year.
audited. There should be government services that come in there and clean house, interview everything, financial records, who's running things, interview people. We need to know what's going on behind these closed doors. If you're not paying taxes, you're just,
Should be able to
it's like the
prove.
wild, wild west for them. They can do
Right.
anything they want.
Amen. Well, thank you, Robert, for joining me on this. I appreciate your perspective because you brought up things that I wouldn't have because I'm kind of myopic when it comes to Jehovah's Witnesses. I just see my angle, so I appreciate it very much.
Yay, this was fun.
And now I can go back to my normal talking voice.
Oh.
Well, it's like my dad said when we went on our first backpacking trip. That was intense.
Oh, is that what he said? Well, my dad said, let's go back home.
It was a good improv, baby.
Yeah.
I like the yes and, baby. That was
Yeah.
good. All right, guys. We will be back next time with a completely different episode, actually recorded in this room with a new friend who was a member of a completely different cult, the Church of Baha'i, I think they call themselves.
Mhm.
And he goes into that. So we'll break that apart next time.
Yay.
Thanks, guys.
Grew up in shadows, now I'm free. Dysfunction behind me, hope inside. New family found, safe and sound. Past was dark, but I'm not bound.